Again, welcome to the BricsCAD Unwrapped series. Discover BricsCAD, the new trend setter in the CAD industry. You know, this is a unique opportunity to unwrap BricsCAD. So a lot of folks say to me, Jazz, you know, what is BricsCAD? And I say to them, well, if you're an architect, an engineer, designer, surveyor, anybody who wants to build for the future, 2D, 3D, mechanical design, BIM, it's all wrapped in BricsCAD. So that's what we're doing in these sessions. And for those who come from the previous session will know that we are doing it. Well, let me just change my slide. There we are. Fantastic. So we started off with 5 sessions. We're down to 4 now, folks, as we help you to unwrap BricsCAD. You know, all your 2D drafting. We'll look at some mechanical, we'll look at some BIM, but it's all wrapped in one application. So for those coming from session 1, we welcome you again. And thank you for those who are starting their journey in session 2 live today. Okay, where we'll unwrap BricsCAD further. And what I'm going to do, as promised, very quickly. Yep, everything's looking good over here. Fantastic. Okay, so today's session, which is 2 of 5, is all about, as the title suggests, the geometry engine for the DWG based CAD revolution. Okay, now this is going to be based on BricsCAD Pro, which is an affordable, multi-purpose 2D and 3D CAD platform. Now, your hosts today are the talented Jacob D. Sutter. Thank you for joining us, Jacob, and me. And yeah, that is us. So let's go straight into the session. And what I'm going to do, I will turn off the cameras for now, and we'll continue off. So BricsCAD is unique. And again, I'm going to apologize in advance for those coming from session 1. I'm going to repeat just 5% of what we've done in session 1 for those folks who come in session 2. But I promise you, there's a competition at the end. So whatever we talk about, you know, please pay attention. It's going to be great because the answer is hidden among those lines. Okay. So BricsCAD is unique. It's an innovative, cost-effective, DWG-based CAD platform. Now, which gives you 2D CAD for fast and efficient drafting, fully based on the industry standard DWG format. We give you 2D and 3D, which is what we're going to cover today in session 2, to help you, solve your design problems faster. Advanced intelligent mechanical design tools is what's available in mechanical that enables greater design freedom. And of course, we have a different approach to the building information modeling. We have a fundamentally different vision for BIM based on a familiar DWG platform that combines early design, BIM, and fabrication into a single continuously developing workflow. Now, the power of BricsCAD Lite, Pro, BIM, and Mechanical in one convenient package, BricsCAD Ultimate. One application based on DWG. Please check out the free trial link that one of my colleagues will drop in the chat window. It's 30 days you get to use for free. Check it out. Cannot recommend it enough. Now, I have kind of mixed it up a little bit. So I lied when I mentioned people from session 1. I got to see the same thing. So we've kind of made it a little bit more fresher. Okay. So I briefly mentioned Bricsys. So who are we? So Bricsys is the company that makes BricsCAD. It is a global provider of affordable, modern CAD, BIM, MCAD, and common data environments brought to the market under the BricsCAD and Bricsys 24/7 brands. Bricsys is part of Hexagon AB, and BricsCAD is, in my opinion, is our best kept CAD secret. But that's changing as new customers are embracing BricsCAD, now with over 300,000 active users over 110 countries. And by the way, that number is growing at a very fast rate. For those folks who are just fed up with the current CAD software, fed up with the lack of development, fed up with license changes. I mean, what else are they going to change? But I tell you what, the only changes we make in BricsCAD are for you. It goes back in the development to make BricsCAD better today and better for tomorrow. Okay, tomorrow's technology in today. Bricsys celebrates his 20th birthday in March. It was brilliant. We were young, so we've done it right. We're headquartered in the beautiful city of Ghent in Belgium, and we've got 200 plus division employees across 8 countries. As I mentioned, we're part of Hexagon AB, who are literally a global group and a leader in digital reality solutions. Hexagon has grown rapidly over the last couple of decades, largely through targeted acquisitions, and now has more than 21,000 employees in 50 countries. In fact, it's one of the fastest growing technology companies in the world. Now, Hexagon consists of a number of different divisions, all specializing in particular industry sectors and technologies, from traditional markets such as process plants and oil and gas with PPM and manufacturing to advanced technologies such as autonomy and geospatial. Our range of capabilities and expertise is huge. Bricsys is part of the Hexagon Geosystem division, who provide a comprehensive portfolio of digital solutions that capture, measure, and visualize the physical world. Now, BricsCAD serves various types of industries across the globe, and that footprint is expanding. Here's just a sample, a sample of the customers that we serve with BricsCAD. As I said, today is session 2. So for those coming from session 1, we looked at BricsCAD Lite, which is all about 2D. We're now taking up a notch, okay? Because BricsCAD Pro features a rich variety of 2D and a 3D design capabilities. It's compatible with the most widely used legacy DWG based CAD product, and it's familiar. It is familiar to anyone who uses it, but it's so much more than that. It's packed with intelligent AI power tools. These are designed to automate the manual processes, assist user input, and automatically optimize drawings to help you solve your design problems much, much faster than you're currently doing today. So for users of the DWG-based legacy CAD products, BricsCAD Pro feels like home. Now, if you purchase BricsCAD Pro, you automatically benefit from all the features of BricsCAD Lite. So from session 1, all that's included. But BricsCAD Pro does take it up a notch. There's so much more. And Jacob's going to give you a fantastic demonstration on just that. But I do would like to cover some of the industry standard DW format that we're native DWG. We support fully AutoCAD command script, macro, menu, compatibility. It's also compatible with various types of support files and system variables. So there's no need to change your printers, templates, blocks, or even sheet set layouts to move to BricsCAD. It's fully compatible. We also fully support Lisp. Customers find the move to BricsCAD as seamless and fast. Excuse me. Now, BricsCAD Pro does offer unique capabilities, providing you with the freedom to work the way you want to. Now, we've got flexible licensing. This gives you the ability to freely flow in and out of 2D and 3D workflows. And our adaptable approach to 3D modeling, you are empowered to choose the best approach for you. We combine the best unconstrained direct modeling and parametric design worlds. So, you're freely, to go in and express your creativity at the early design stage through dynamic direct modeling pull functionality, interactively manipulating solid and surface geometry as you wish with your mouse cursor. However, and this is important, as the design evolves, you can add more dimensional control or even fully make it parametric to the design automatically, and all without the complexity imposed by history-based approach. We've got best of both worlds. No other CAD software does that without price, without license options that we offer. Now, in session 1, we looked at this great command, copy guided, absolutely beautiful command. You've got the same command in Pro, but it's also available in 3D. So this unique AI-powered design tool in BricsCAD Pro can take your productivity to the next level. So copy guided is a perfect example. And what it does, it works with, as I mentioned, 2D and 3D geometry that intelligently and very smartly enables you to select a set of entities and based on the surrounding geometry, position a copy of them correctly at the new location on the drawing. The surrounding geometry at the new location is then accommodated, is then correctly modified or completed automatically. And I mentioned this in session 1. This would have been a great feature for me because I used to put doors, a lot of doors in walls, and I would put a door in, I would then trim and extend. In BricsCAD Lite, we'll put the door in, automatic trim everything. And it does it with Pro, even with 3D as well. Great, great feature that we've got right here for you. Now, the other option that we get with Pro compared to Lite, the pre-process multiple types of point cloud sources for super fast and efficient viewing. The way in which BricsCAD pre-processes point cloud data both reduces the point cloud size while increasing the point cloud performance. These unique workflows, for those needing to work effectively with point clouds, we got adaptive point display, we can crop it, we got bubble views, so much going on here. And Jacob's going to scratch the surface here, but it's going to be a great demonstration. Your cost of entry to working with point clouds in multiple formats, it enables you to perform visual analyses, deviations analysis on point clouds natively within BricsCAD Pro without any extra plugins. Now, talking about plugins, it's BricsCAD Pro is, this is the addition that springboards, because BricsCAD Pro features an open approach with advanced API functionality. This powers hundreds of industry and task-specific partner solutions, which you'll find on the Bricsys App Store. The BricsCAD App Store offers over 400 commercial add-on products across many industries. So whatever capability you want to introduce to power your design workflows forward, it will be in there. Okay, and we're seeing a massive influx of developers who are knocking on our doors and saying, Jazz, what do we need to do to work with you? And I said, right, here it is. Here's the APIs. It's yours. It's free. We are open. Education, developers, it is free. And the reason they're knocking on our doors is because they're seeing their customers. Their customers want to move away from the traditional CAD system, but they want to move across the add-ons, and we're supporting that. So it's a really great place to be. It really is. So thousands of organizations, have already experienced the cost-effective but innovative approach that BricsCAD Pro offers across a wide variety of industries all over the world. We boast an impressive range of satisfied customers, from architects to manufacturers, from civil engineers to construction companies, and from surveyors to structural engineers. There's a vast community, and it is growing, from organizations all using BricsCAD Pro to help them solve their design problem faster. Now, on the topic of lower ownership cost, BricsCAD Pro is considerably more affordable than many other products on the market. It's priced competitively, but also the flexibility of its licensing options can reduce cost dramatically. For example, if you purchase BricsCAD Pro with a perpetual license, you'll see that over multiple years, due to the maintenance cost being very low, the cost of ownership is really attractive. It's just over £1,000, and that's yours. That's yours to keep. Perpetual, just over £200 to keep your solution up to date with all the latest features that's going to streamline your processes. But even using BricsCAD Pro on subscription, that's still keeping your costs down to a minimum. Because if you compare this and BricsCAD Pro, you really want to compare this to AutoCAD Professional. You can really see just how affordable BricsCAD Pro is. AutoCAD is only available on a subscription basis. And you can clearly see that whatever license type you select, BricsCAD is far cost effective. And the more time goes by, the more cost effective it becomes. Even just after 3 years, the total amount of spent so far on AutoCAD is nearly 4 times as much on BricsCAD Pro. The fact is that BricsCAD products are available as a shareable network license makes the cost even more attractive, even if you have a number of part-time CAD users. Okay. So we have an absolute fantastic demonstration lined up for you by a technical pre-sales lead, Jacob. So what I'll do, I'm going to stop sharing my screen, Jacob, and the floor is yours, my friend.
Thanks, Jazz. Hello, everyone. As Jazz already mentioned, my name is Jacob de Sutter. I'm the technical pre-sales lead in EMEA, based at the Bricsys headquarters in Ghent, Belgium. Today, I'll be showing you some of the exciting features that BricsCAD Pro has to offer. Let's start by opening BricsCAD. In the launcher, I can see I have 2 possible workspaces to choose from, 2D drafting and 3D modeling. The other workspaces are grayed out because I'm currently only running a Pro license. Let's choose a 2D drafting workspace. So if you've seen last week's webinar about BricsCAD Lite, you'll be familiar with the start page, which shows recently used drawings, a Learn tab, Applications tab, and so on. I won't go into too much detail here, and just open a new drawing. So here we have the 2D drafting workspace. In last week's webinar, we've shown you what is possible in BricsCAD Lite in terms of 2D drafting capabilities and BricsCAD smart tools for drawing optimization. If you haven't seen that, go check it out. It's available on our YouTube channel under the name BricsCAD Unwrapped Session 1 2D CAD for fast and efficient drafting. So everything that's available in BricsCAD Lite, you can obviously also do in BricsCAD Pro. But today we're going to focus on things that you get extra when buying a Pro license. And one of the major differences is the ability to model in 3D. So that's why we will switch to a 3D modeling workspace. The modeling workspace offers you tools to model with 3D solids, surfaces, meshes, thin surface for civil design, parametrics and constraints, access to point cloud support, and so on. I will try to cover most of this in the next 30 minutes. So let's start with a simple model. I'll just create a rectangle of 2 by 700 millimeters, like this. And as you will see, as I rotate my camera, that I'm actually creating a 2D sketch in 3-dimensional space. By the way, I'm using a 3D mouse here to navigate in three dimensions. If you don't have this, you can still use the Shift and middle mouse button to rotate the view, or use the Look From widget like here, like so, to rotate your view. This is now a polyline, a rectangle, and if I highlight it, I will see that the quad opens up. So this is a context-sensitive toolbar. And in this case, because I'm in the modeling workspace, it will provide me with several tools focused on 3D modeling. For example, the solid extrude function, which I can use to turn this rectangle into a 3D solid. As I open the the extrude tool, I can see that there's this ruler appearing, which allows me to model more precisely without having to give in values manually, for example, 400 millimeters. You'll also notice that when I zoom out, the increments of the ruler changes, so it's adaptive to your zoom level. So it looks like our solid here is see-through. That's because our visual style currently is set to 2D wireframe, which is the default for a millimeter template. I can set this to a more appropriate one, like modeling, so I can see better what I'm doing. In last week's webinar, we talked about things like the manipulator. which also works in 3D. So I can use the manipulator to rotate this face here like this. I can also access sub-entities. So in the case of a solid, sub-entities would be edges and vertices and faces. So I can use this edge to create a new line here by offsetting it. Or I can automatically detect boundaries between 2D and or 3D geometry like this here, and use it to extrude upward as well, like this. In case you hadn't noticed, so I'm currently building a simple 3D model of a bench, and I will just do a few more steps to finish this bench. So I'll create this offset here, and then extrude this volume so I get a hollow solid like this. And I'll add some fillets to the edges so that people don't cut themselves when they go sit on it, and also just to give it a bit more of an organic look, like this. BricsCAD also comes with a library of render materials, so I can choose from all kinds of categories. For example, this wood here, I can apply to my solid or to faces individually to get this more realistic look. Now I'll just copy this bench over into its context, which is a house. I'll just paste this here by using Control V. And again, I can use a manipulator to relocate it to its intended position. For example, like this. Right. So this model, it's simply a 3D model of a building. It's not a BIM model yet. It was just created using BricsCAD Pro, but if we have a BricsCAD BIM license, we can choose to now add physical materials and other metadata to it, generate plans and sections, export IFC files, do quantity takeoffs, and much more. If you're interested to learn more about how BricsCAD BIM works, I encourage you to check it out in the third session of this webinar series, which is this Thursday at 11 a.m. Central European Time. Right, so far we've only worked with solids, but BricsCAD also supports things like meshes. Let me create a section plane in this building to look inside here. Okay, so we can look inside our building, and we'll add a sofa here inside. I have this model of a sofa which was made in SketchUp. It's actually quite a large file. It's 150 megabytes. So importing can take a few seconds, but actually the waiting time is quite okay. BricsCAD uses multi-threading to increase performance on operations like this, like importing. After importing, you will notice that the geometry itself came in block refs, so block references, and inside those block definitions, so you can see here block refs, and inside those block definitions, if I explode it or look into it using block edit, I can see that this is an actual mesh. In this case, for this part, it has about 58,000 faces, so it's quite a detailed mesh for just a simple sofa. So BricsCAD Pro can also handle more complicated geometry. So here's an example of a lift frame assembly. So the assembly itself was assembled with BricsCAD mechanical functionality, but the actual geometry that you see here was all modeled using BricsCAD Pro modeling tools. So you can create this kind of assembly or this kind of model in BricsCAD Pro. Let's take a closer look at one of these subparts here, like this one, this rail guide, to give you an example of a slightly more complex feature. So when I created the bench, I showed you an example of adding fillets to solids or to edges. But what if we want to create a more complex fillet, like with a varying radius? That's actually all possible. So let me select a chain of edges here. And using the fillet command, I can now choose in the sub options for a variable radius where I can choose between the two endpoints. So I can choose that it goes from 10 millimeters to 5 millimeters on the other end to create a varying radius like this. Or I can go even more complex. I'll do it on this side here. And choose the intermediate radius mode, which allows me to specify a base radius, let's say 5 millimeters here. And now I can add or pick points and vary it here. So let's go from 10 millimeters on this side, do something small here, right in the middle. So like this, it's possible to create more complex fillets. During last week's webinar on BricsCAD Lite, some innovative design assistance tools were showcased, such as Blockify, Copy Guided, and Move Guided. You'll be happy to hear that most of these features also work in 3D. In this example, I want to copy this rail guide over to other locations in the drawing. So here on this side, and then also on the bottom on two sides. Now I could manually mirror and copy this part to their appropriate locations, but it's more fun and easier to let BricsCAD do the heavy lifting for me. So I can call the copy guided command and switch to 3D mode. And it now asks me to select my detail objects, which is the rail guide itself, as well as the bolts that it's going to bolt it together. And now it allows me to manually specify the reference faces, which in this case are the faces of this plate it's bolted onto. Sorry, let me do that again. As well as the two holes where the bolts are inserted in. Now when I press enter, you see this little extra volume appear next to my or around my copied entities. And when I come close to locations where it can snap to, like this, so like this, it's quite easy to copy this entity around in my drawing. Just like we support geometric constraints and parameter expressions in a 2D environment, for example, to create parametric blocks, we also support this for 3D geometry. Let's take this simple chair, for example. So we can add constraints manually. For example, add a distance constraint between the bottom face here and the top face here, which I can now view in the parameters manager. So I have now one distance constraint, which governs the height of the backrest actually. So like this, I can change the height of the backrest. I can also animate this to know what a constraint actually does. Now this was now done manually, but it's also possible to do this automatically using the auto parameterize tool. So this tool will automatically create constraints where it sees fit. So it will try to recognize design intent. For example, it creates one parameter here, P1, which governs the thickness of all these different legs. It also recognized that the bottom part of this chair actually is the same dimension in all three directions. It created this parameter length xy for it, which I can now, if I want to, rename it to, let's say, size, and then this length z will be the height of the backrest. I I can even set these parameters to be geometry driven. So there's this extra parameter here. And if I now use modeling tools such as the push-pull functionality, the constraints will be still active, of course. And I can see that the parameter value now has also been updated. Now I can choose to set my, let's say, the height of the backrest to be 2 times size. Which now if I make a change to the model like this, also the backrest will update because it's now dependent on the size value. This is now a very simple example just to make you understand what is possible, but more complex geometries or assemblies are also possible. For example, here we have this platform, and the upper part of the platform, its position and rotation are governed by the length of the 6 legs that support it. So if I change, let's say, this parameter to be 300 millimeters, then this leg will lengthen and the platform will move accordingly. I can again set these parameters to be geometry driven, like this. Which will allow me to, if I make a change in the 3D model using modeling tools like the manipulator, then the parameter values will also be updated, of course. Like this. So these constraints and parameter expressions can be used for any goal and in any industry. Just be creative. It's a very generic framework and makes it possible and intuitive to create intelligent models. Another important aspect of BricsCAD Pro is the ability to work with plugins or extensions. Having the Pro license opens up a world of possibilities with specialized applications for AEC, HVAC, GIS and surveying, plant design, and countless other industries. BricsCAD is really a platform on which you can add as many extensions as you like. An easy way to find these applications is by going to the Start page and choosing the tab Applications. Here you'll find some featured applications as well as some categories from which you can choose. And if you click the Explore button, you'll be taken to our App Store on the website, where you can further find categories, add filters, and so on. So here you can easily search and find the application to suit your needs. A popular application is the Express Tools application, which I also have installed on my machine. And I'll give you an example of a slightly more complicated or more complex application. This one is called AX3000. It's an extensive HVAC solutions with its own interface elements such as custom ribbons, a custom palette with different options. And in some applications, the interface will be so thoroughly changed that you won't even notice that you're in BricsCAD anymore. In other applications such as Express Tools, it just simply adds some commands and a ribbon to help you find these commands. Okay, besides 3D modeling and access to third-party applications, BricsCAD Pro also unlocks the ability to work with point clouds. We developed our own data structure completely focused on performance. We only show on screen what is relevant. This allows users to navigate scans with 10 or 100 or even 1,000 scan positions with the same ease. The first step of pre-processing is needed to convert traditional point cloud formats to our own data structure and to create the bubble views in BricsCAD. BricsCAD supports the most commonly used file formats such as E57, LAS, LAZ, PTS, PTX, RCP, and RCS. The pre-processing of a point cloud will happen in the background, and you can follow the progress here. In this case, I have already 2 point clouds pre-processed, one of which is inserted in my drawing here. There are several ways to modify the display of the point cloud. We can increase or decrease the point size, or use adaptive display. This mode will set the size of the points depending on the local density of points. So using adaptive display like this, this will make sure that you have a filled look even in locations where there's not really a dense cloud of points. Another way to visualize point clouds is by using color maps. For example, here I'll give the points a color based on the point density. Okay, let me turn it back to the scan color. Sorry if my voice cracks. I've caught a cold a few days ago, and it's getting hard to talk for a long time. So if we want to focus on a certain part of a point cloud, we can use tools like cropping. For example, I can add a crop to get rid of this garden area. Of course, it's only temporary, so I can always choose to uncrop. There's other ways of adding crops in your model. For example, using the crop solid command, I can simply create a 3D solid and turn it into a crop solid. And I can still manipulate this solid by, for example, using the push-pull command. So it's really easy to manipulate your view like this. I can also use it to temporarily hide elements in my point cloud. For example, if I want to get rid of this wall here, I can simply create a box. And now use the crop solid command. Okay, let's make a section through the point cloud. So you have to have a look inside. Just move the section down a bit. And you will see these green spheres, these green bubbles. These represent the positions of the laser scanner at the time of the scan. So double-clicking it opens a bubble viewer, which you can use to look around. And there's different visualization options, such as the normal vector mode and the distance from the point location, the point scanner. Now, it's also possible to model on top of this point cloud. To make this easier, BricsCAD supports snapping to point cloud points, which is a separate snap option. So under eSnap, I can choose to enable point cloud nearest point. I'll use this to move my point cloud so that the finished floor elevation coincides with the model origin, just like this. And I'll also move my section down so I have a sort of footprint view of my model. Now I can start to use modeling tools such as the polysolid command. And I'll just snap to the points of the point cloud, like this. Now, this is of course a manual process, but we've also implemented ways to do this semi-automatically. This is however part of the BIM license, so I won't be covering that today. Finally, BricsCAD Pro also comes with a tool suite for civil design. It's not a tool for advanced InfoWorks, but it can be used for conceptual design in this industry. So in this demo, I'll give you a short teaser on what is possible with these tools. Here I have a drawing with a geo-referenced image inserted. And I will also import a thin surface from several text files. So I'll go to the Civil Ribbon tab, and under Thin Surface, Import from File. So it will process these files and create a thin surface for us. I'll just use all of the default parameters here. And after importing, I can now do things like, for example, clip it, so I can focus on the relevant portion of the surface. I can use this polyline as my boundary to clip it. And now I can even combine this this aerial image with the thin surface itself, so I get a combined view. There are several tools to use with this thin surface, such as creating gratings or doing simple water drop simulations. For example, let's do this water drop here. I can move my cursor and it will show me where the water will flow. But today we're going to focus a bit on creating alignments. So alignments are used to precisely define linear infrastructure. And there are three types of alignments. So there's horizontal, vertical, and 3D, which is a 3D curve defined with horizontal and vertical alignment views. So in our example, we will design the alignment directly in 3D, although traditional methods, so designing horizontal alignment and in plan view and vertical in profile, are supported as well. So I'll just use the alignment by PI here, choose my thin surface, and just start picking points. I'll do this roughly by just picking some points like this. And the idea is to create a bridge here along this part of the road. So I've now created a 3D alignment, and automatically also a 2D alignment or horizontal alignment is placed here. These two are linked, of course, so if I make a change in my horizontal alignment, it will also be reflected in the 3D alignment. Now you can also create a vertical alignment view from this. To do that, I will create a second viewport. And I'll turn off my perspective mode here so you have a better view. I will create a vertical alignment view based on this horizontal alignment here. And I'll just place it over here. Now to get a better view of the actual slope, I will increase the vertical scale factor. And I can see that my slope is actually a bit too much. So I'm going to add this vertical alignment. I can do that using the properties panel. I can select the alignment here and choose the update method. Right now it's set to automatic, which I can choose the tolerance for. So if I increase this to, let's say, 8 meters, you will see that it becomes a smoother alignment. Or I can set it to manual and then manually move points. So I can choose to move this point like this, or I can even add remove points like this, remove PVI. Like this, for instance, until you get a smoother result that's closer to what you want. Like this, for instance. So once we've created our alignment, we can create corridors by assigning a cross section to the alignment. Let me just enable this layer here so I can see some cross sections we've created. Now I can use this to assign it to our alignments. I can see we're running out of time though, so I won't get into this. If you want to know more about this, you can find more info on our website, Help Center, or on YouTube by simply searching for the term corridor, where you can then find some videos like this one here. Okay, that was about everything I wanted to show. Just to recap, BricsCAD Pro offers 3D modeling, parametric design, plugins and extensions, point cloud support, and the civil design tool suite, all on top of everything that is already available in BricsCAD Lite. I know this was a lot to take in 30 minutes, but I hope you have learned something and hope you've enjoyed it. So thanks for your attention, and with that, I will give the final word back to Jas.
Thanks, Jacob. Absolutely fabulous. Really, really good stuff there. The cropping, one of my favorite tools. Just before we continue on, again, folks, please use the Q&A tab. Please use the chat window. Let us know what you feel, how you're feeling. What do you think of the session? I just want to do a couple of shout outs because I asked the question earlier on about what time is it in Brazil. And apparently, folks, it was 6 a.m. when we first started the session. 6 a.m. That's dedication. Well, I'll thank you. From Brazil. Really, really appreciate that. And Jacob, I hope you get well. I know you're a bit down. Get yourself a cup of tea or some water as well. But let us continue the presentation. Okay. So where are we? We'll now look at some of the customers, who have kind of used BricsCAD. And I like to choose a different customer per session. So the one we chose for session 2, and it's the East Riding of Yorkshire Council. It's a local authority in the UK with over 600,000 residents. And it really is a great example of exploiting the power of BricsCAD Pro as a platform for specialist partner products. Though it's the powerful API, the use of BricsCAD Pro with the Key Terra Firma app from KTF, definitely recommend checking that out. The combined solution provides impressive erosion control analysis and erosion control planning, allowing them to effectively develop coastal defense construction projects. So really, really great. I want to share that. Something different than what I'm probably used to from my background. So I wanted to share that. To look at BricsCAD today, BricsCAD Pro today. It's not only that, the famous compatibility with the legacy products that we mentioned, the low cost of ownership, the license flexibility. I mean, that itself, come on, it's great. Again, we don't, we're not going to change the way we position our software. It's really up to you how you want to license and use the software. Okay, so we'll never take that away from you. So number one, firstly, our open approach. BricsCAD Pro features powerful API and Lisp technology, which enables you to easily develop your own custom apps and also gives developers a solid base on which to build great solutions. We've got a strong ecosystem. And KTF there in the chat is an example. Secondly, number two, it features an array of intelligent AI-powered features which automate the task and assist the user input. Now we're talking about all the stuff we looked at BricsCAD Lite in 2D. You've got them again in 3D as well. And as a side note, with the license of BricsCAD Pro, you automatically inherit BricsCAD Lite, and also every seat of BricsCAD comes with a shape. You're probably thinking, what is shape? Well, if for those folks who use SketchUp, well, you can use Shape now. Shape's absolutely free. Even after the trial, folks, the trial runs out of BricsCAD, Shape will continue to work for you. That's right. That's yours. Number three, for those working in 3D, as I mentioned, Jacob did a great demonstration, actually. We offer something really unique. And, I would say, I come from an industry of various 2D and 3D CAD applications. While some CAD products are based on just direct modeling approach and some are fully parametric and history based. We offer the best of both worlds, and with our license option and our price, you're free to express your creativity at the early stages of design through dynamic direct modeling. But then, this is the most important bit, but then can add dimension control as the design evolves and even make it parametric if you wish. And of course, number 4, and finally, BricsCAD Pro features a range of powerful tools to automatically optimize and reuse imported disorganized 2D and 3D data. Okay, we can do all that for you. So it's definitely a great place to be. And I just want to finish off with, because we are seeing a massive influx of customers coming from various different CAD applications. Flexible licensing and the cost is 2 of the reasons. But third is those benefits that we mentioned. But I just want to talk about this flexible licensing. We offer our BricsCAD products with completely flexible licensing option. There's a choice of a single, volume, or network. And these can be perpetual or subscription based. Licenses are linked, very important to know this, folks, is linked to an organization and not to each user. So there's no restrictions or high cost imposed by name user licenses. It's eliminated. And licenses can be used anywhere across the world. They're not restricted to the country where it's acquired. Okay, so there's a lot of choices there. And of course, we're going to stay on now to answer any questions that you might have. But what I would say, please join us for the next session. The next session is on this Thursday, and it's about BricsCAD BIM. It's BIM for CAD users. It's really a great session. You do not want to miss it. But we're going to stay online. So any more questions that you've got, please put them through. Let us know in the chat window. What do you think about this session? What do you want to change? What do you love about it? All that good stuff. What do you don't like about it? Let us know. Please do fill the survey. Let us know any questions that you've got. As I said, we'll stay on for the moment. There's still a lot of folks here, which is great to see. But on behalf of the Bricsys team and Jacob, we say goodbye. Thank you, and see you Thursday.